We knew we could get good coffee into a pod, but what we really wanted to do was bring the cafe experience home.
The coffee needed to be really, really good, and we have done nothing but focus on that.
Before COVID, the cafe was incredibly busy. There was a great vibe. It was everything I wanted in my cafe. When COVID hit, it impacted us a lot. Our customers completely vanished. The streets were empty. There was no queue anymore. Locked up at home, no income, 2 kids, a mortgage, rent. It was all piling up, and I just could not see a way out. It was easily the scariest time in my life. Although it was awful stuff that was happening at the time, it kind of forced me to think outside the box. It pushed me to pivot my business into another realm, to take the cafe somewhere else. Customers were coming to me and saying how frustrated they were with the poor results they were getting at home with their coffee, which triggered us into thinking, how can we recreate that cafe experience? How can we give them that cafe quality coffee at home in a repeatable way that's consistent and easily accessible?
So when Yanni came to me with the idea of putting really good coffee into a sustainable pod and then selling it online, it was like a no-brainer. I went, absolute, let's do it.
So what makes Podify different for us is we put an enormous emphasis on the quality of the coffee going into the pod. We made absolutely sure that this was the best possible coffee we could put in this pod for our customer to receive that and replay that cafe experience at home. Another way we've kind of channeled that cafe experience in is by actually calling customers, an actual voice phone call, after purchase and saying, how was your coffee? How did it taste? Would you buy it again? And I think people really appreciate that kind of reaching out on a personal level like that, introducing yourself and saying, hi, I'm co-founder of Podify, and I just want to check how your coffee was.
Yeah. There's even one where she couldn't get the pod into her machine.
I made a video early in the morning in my kitchen, just on my phone, and sent her the video in a Facebook message saying, here's how you fix it. And she was absolutely blown away. She had actually left the pods at home and gone to work. And she was dying for a morning coffee. I told her, she said she'd try it when she got home from work. And then 10 minutes later, she messaged me back and said, I couldn't wait. I ran back home and did it, had a coffee, and it's awesome. Thank you so much.
An example of the feedback that we got was early days. We decided that we would do local deliveries, not just to preserve margin or get there quicker, but we really wanted to meet our customers. The interaction that I used to have as a customer at Yanni's Cafe and what you would see in that mini community that would gather there, I thought we could extend that out into the community by doing the deliveries. And the feedback we got was great. Like, people were at the door talking us through why, their stories as to why. Some were really passionate about sustainability. Others just wanted really good coffee at home, were frustrated. So there's all these things that we got as feedback. So it was good to be able to get that sort of the community with it. And now, even though it's digital, I think we know our return customers now, and we can get a feel for what's happening. Sometimes we might even put some extra coffee in here and there if we feel that it's busier, or there might be some delays in the couriers. So communication is key, I think, in a cafe, and it's transcended its way to the pods.
The difficulty with advertising for me was I came from the cafe world, so it was a completely brand new environment for me. I never dealt with it before in my life.
The challenge was that in a cafe, it's hand-to-hand combat. You've got a customer in front of you that you can understand and talk to and make adjustments with, and you get a feeling for the type of community that you're in. You get a feeling for the type of customer that you have and the mood of the day, and you can set that as you come in. But when you go digital, it's a vacuum. There's really no one at the other end but a bunch of data. Advertising digitally was hard because we don't have that physical touch anymore. We chose to go with agency by worker because it helped tie our advertising, our brand, our content, and ultimately our story together. The hardest thing with our content in that was not going crazy and having a lens of other organizations and other people with a vested interest in our business. Otherwise, I don't know what we would have ended up with. It would have just been Yanni and I on a coffee podcast, probably.
being absolute clowns.
So having people to bounce ideas off is one thing, but having an agency in-house that also has a vested interest in the success of the actual business itself is very important. It means that we were cautioned about doing certain pieces of content and we were encouraged to do others.
Having that service in-house was just game-changing. Being able to have quick and easy access to agency as well, like the people are physically here. It's not just an email address. The feedback from customers has been amazing. We actually can't believe how good it's been. We're just getting awesome reports about how good the coffee is tasting, and it's been incredibly rewarding after, months and months of heads down, buried in this stuff, trying to get it off the ground, to hear that people are loving what we're putting out.
Yeah, we were blown away. I mean, we could tell you some of them, but you'd have to censor it. Some of the ones that we were getting we've made the decision to be authentic and ourselves throughout this whole process. And the other thing that we decided was to not sit behind a brand and be invisible, to step out like we would at a cafe, like to be there and be the face. And our reviews and our customers have been the same. Some of very colourful, exciting, happy languages come our way. But we've also gotten feedback that's helped us improve as a business as well. We went with Work It. It was a very simple decision for us to make because it meant that we had less things to worry about. Honestly, we didn't have to worry about a long, complex capital purchase or lease of a warehouse. We didn't have to worry about all the machinery that just every business is going to need. We didn't necessarily have the resources at our disposal to have reception, to have offices and boardrooms and printers and all these things that you don't think you need, but you do. It allowed us to quickly and very efficiently operate as an organization as a proprietary limited before we even knew it, so that we could just focus on doing the things that we were good at, which was ensuring that the coffee was very, very good and that the engagement was with the customer, not having to worry about the day-to-day running of a large organization or building.
So one of the other enormous challenges for us was when creating the product was that these pod manufacturers had these enormous minimum order quantities. It was really difficult for us because we had to kind of play this guessing game of putting coffee together, hoping that it would taste good in the pod. So I remember the day we put the order in and paid for that first run of coffee, 2 variants of pods, essentially a pallet of pods, and not really knowing what was going to come out the other end. So it was a massive gamble, which obviously paid off because we've had amazing responses to our product. A business in our infancy and our learning curve is very steep, and some of the people in here have very established e-commerce businesses, so being able to go to them for a little bit of guidance really, really quickly offers another side of things, another strength to work at that you can't really find anywhere else.
To join a community straight away and get that instant feedback, to get ideas. Not only that, even just vibe off the energy of coming into the building is enough for you to be able to feel in a community of people, they're all doing sort of the same thing. So it's good to come up for air with those people as well.
And with all the other support that Work It's provided with agency and Skewtopia, it's lifted responsibilities off us that would otherwise kind of drown us in running the business, and it's allowed us the freedom to stay creative, to stay engaged with our customer, to keep pushing the brand in the direction we want it to go, and stay authentic.
So when we started, there were 2 non-negotiables, or 2 baselines, if you like. The coffee needed to be really, really good, and we have done nothing but focus on that. And the business, not just the pod, but the business needed to be sustainable. So all the way from having biodegradable and compostable pods to cardboard packages that could be recycled, and then also partnering with Work It that had a lot of sustainable practices already in place for us to be able to leverage. When you're a customer, you search or you see an advertisement that resonates with you and you click buy, and then you sit back and you wait for the product to arrive. As an e-commerce business, the things that we learned was we can control most of the platforms digitally, but then there's a physical element. This process that it leaves your business and then it goes into the hands of strangers and then it arrives at your customers. And so that piece of the puzzle, the logistics, the trust that we needed, not only the trust, but the mysterious pricing that we were given, all these things needed to be factored in. And that was the biggest unknown and challenge. where you think it would be actually the advertising or the product, but the biggest challenge in e-commerce is the physical moving of the product?
I think the next phase for us is really growing and scaling the business from where it is now. And we're in an environment now where that can happen, and we've got the infrastructure behind us to do it, which is really, really exciting. So it's a good time for us to knuckle down and really push forward.
Yeah, I think what's next for us is just to scale but simplify. It doesn't have to be complex. We don't need 1,000 variants. We need to make sure that we can get the really good coffee to our customers, listen to them, and who knows, our next product might be something that we've never seen before. But as long as we can continue to scale and be in an environment that allows us that agility of applying a new idea or trying something new, it's really exciting. But I think it's just that radical simplification that's possible in a place like Workit.